For the third part of our topic, let's learn more about the classical Greek art. And this is a continuation video of Western classical art traditions, where in the first part of our video, we learn about the prehistoric and Egyptian art. Paintings from classical Greek era. Paintings during classical era were most commonly found in vases, panels, and tombs. They depict natural figures with dynamic compositions, and most of the subjects were battle scenes, mythological figures, and everyday scenes. They reveal a grasp of linear perspective and naturalist representation. Most common methods of Greek painting. Fresco. Fresco is a method of painting water-based pigments on a freshly applied plaster, usually on wall surfaces. Colors are made of ground powder pigments, mixed in pure water, dried, and set with the plaster to become a permanent part of the wall. Encaustic. Encaustic is developed by Greek shipbuilders who use hot wax to fill the cracks of the ships. Pigments or colors were added and used to paint a wax hull. Vase painting. Kirch tile, or also referred to as Kirch vases, are red figured pottery named after the place where it was found. Most common shapes are: number 1, pea-like, or the wine container. Second, licanis, a low bowl with 2 horizontal handles and a low-browed foot. Lebis gamikos, with high handles and lid used to carry bridal bath. Crater, or calyx crater, is a bowl used for mixing wine and water. The most common motifs were scenes from life of women, mythological beings that were popular among the people of the Black Sea, or seen from mythical story or event. Panel paintings. Panel paintings are paintings on flat panels of woods. It can be either a small, single piece or several panels joined together. Most of the panel paintings no longer exist because of their organic composition. Pizza panel. Pizza panel is the earliest known panel painting. The pizza panels are a group of 4 panels that were found in a cave in Pizza, Corinthia, Greece during the 1930s. They are the earliest Greek panel paintings known to date and the only surviving panels still in existence from the Archaic Greek period. Panel paintings were one of the more respected forms of art in ancient Greece and have a long history. Tomb or wall painting. Tomb or wall painting was very popular during the classical period. It uses the method frescoes in either tempera or encaustic. Tomb of the Diver. Tomb of the Diver at Paestum is the finest known example of Greek wall painting of the 5th century, the very best period of Greek art. It also has some of the finest scenes of Greek homosexuality. It is a single tomb and was discovered in 1968 by Mario Napoli, about a mile south of the town when he was exploring the cemeteries. It dates to around 480 BC. Sculptures. Early Greek sculptures were tense and stiff. Their bodies were hidden within enfolding robes. After 3 centuries of experiments, Greek sculptures had finally evolved and showed all the points of human anatomy and proportion. The chronology of sculpture in ancient Greece is traditionally divided into 3 main periods. First is the Archaic period between 650 to 500 BCE. Greek sculptors start to develop monumental marble sculpture. But from about 620, the 3 most common statues were the standing nude youth, Caurus, the standing draped girl, Kore, and the seated woman. second is the Classical period between 500 to 323 BCE, the creative high point of Greek sculpture. The Classical period witnessed a rapid improvement in Greek statuary. There was a dramatic rise in the technical skills of Greek sculptors in their ability to depict the human body in a relaxed rather than the rigid posture. Classicist sculpture continued to be primarily connected with religion and included the full panoply of Greek divinities and mythological figures. Thus, in addition to the 12 Olympian gods and goddesses, the main characteristic of classical statuary concerned the accuracy of its anatomy and the realism of its stance. Third is the Hellenistic period around 323 to 27 BCE. The Greek style of 3D art is practiced across the Eastern Mediterranean. Most importantly, there was a major change in aesthetics. In particular, Hellenism replaced the serene beauty of classicism with a more emotional type of sculpture, which also included an intense realism. Myron the Discobolus. The Discobolus or discus thrower is one of the most iconic artworks of classical antiquity. Originally sculpted in a bronze by an Athenian man called Myron. Architecture. Greek architects provided some of the finest and most distinctive buildings in the entire ancient world, and some of their structures such as temples, theaters, and stadia would become staple features of towns and cities from antiquity onwards. Temples consisted of a central shrine or room in an aisles surrounded by rows of columns. These buildings were designed in one of three architectural styles or orders: Doric, Ionic, and Corinthian. The earlier use of wooden pillars eventually evolved into the Doric column in stone. This was a vertical fluted column shaft, thinner at its top, with no base and a simple capital below a square of abacus. The Ionic order, with origins in the mid-6th century BCE Asia Minor, added a base and volute, or scroll capital, to a slimmer and straighter column. The Corinthian column, invented in Athens in the 5th century BCE, is similar to the Ionic but topped by a more decorative capital of stylus acanthus and fern leaves. The Parthenon. The Parthenon is the greatest classical temple, ingeniously engineered to correct an optical illusion. The columns were slightly contorted, swollen at the center, and leaning inward to correct what would otherwise have been an impression of deadness and top-heaviness. Parthenon is a former temple on the Athenian Acropolis, Greece, dedicated to the goddess Athena, whom the people of Athens considered their patroness. And that's it for Greek art. Ancient Greek depicts naturalism. They portray human forms in a realistic and anatomically correct manner. Their art has a conservative form with a very complex detail. I hope you learned something new today. Until then, God bless.